Everyone stood around the coffin, crying softly. No one knew the man inside was awake, his eyes slowly opening in the white box. Through a tiny crack, he watched everyone move and heard every word they said. The coffin shook a little, and his breathing grew fast, but he stayed still. Everyone believed he was gone, while he silently watched his own funeral. Before we dive into the story, tell me, where are you watching from? I'd love to know. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a story like this. The sun was just rising over the Okafor mansion, painting the tall glass walls in a soft golden glow. Inside, everything looked perfect. Shiny floors, fresh flowers, warm lights. But Don Raf felt cold. Raphael, aka Don Raf Okafor, the man people called the Lion of Lagos, sat quietly at the dining table with a cup of tea in his hand. His heart was full, but not with joy. It was full of a strange fear, a fear that had been growing for months. His wife, Grace, walked past him with a bright smile. "My darling, hope you slept well," she asked sweetly. But she did not wait for his answer. She was already texting someone. His son Sammy walked in next. "Dad, good morning," he said loudly, hugging Don Raf with a wide smile. But the hug felt empty. No warmth, no love, just a hug for show. His daughter Sonia came too, kissing his cheek. "Daddy, you look strong today. I'm so happy for you." But her eyes were fixed on his wristwatch, not on him. Don Raf sat there quietly, watching them. Every smile felt heavy. Every hug felt like a lie. Every "I love you" felt like it was meant for his bank account, not his heart. He tried to shake off the thought. "Maybe I am just imagining things," he whispered to himself. But deep inside, a soft voice kept asking him, "If I had nothing, would these people still love me?" He looked around the table. His son scrolled through his phone, laughing at something. His daughter whispered with her mother, pointing at him sometimes and smiling. His wife's phone kept buzzing non-stop. Don Raf felt alone, even though the room was full. Later that afternoon, he was walking toward his bedroom when he heard soft voices coming from the open guest room. He stopped. His heart beat a little faster. It was his family. They didn't know he was close. His wife spoke first, her voice quiet. "Which hospital do we choose for him? I don't want something slow. I want something faster." His son Sammy laughed softly. "Let's pick the one overseas. The sooner everything is settled, the better." His daughter whispered quickly, "Yes, the faster things move, the sooner we can handle all the properties." Don Raf froze. He felt like the floor under him had disappeared. His own family, talking about him like he was a task they wanted to finish, talking like they were in a hurry not for his health, but for what he would leave behind. His hand shook as he covered his mouth. His eyes stung. He stepped back quietly so they wouldn't hear him. Every word he heard kept echoing in his mind. "The sooner everything is settled, we will have all the properties." He walked to his room slowly, like an old man. He sat on the bed and placed his hands on his face. For the first time in many years, Don Raf felt a kind of pain he did not understand. Not a pain in his body, but in his chest. A soft, quiet ache that whispered, "They don't love you."
He tried to swallow the thought, but the memory of their voices kept playing over and over in his mind. The hugs earlier, the smiles at breakfast, the sweet "Daddy, I love you." Now everything looked different, like a mask. Don Roth stood up and walked to the mirror. He looked at himself, this strong man everyone feared and respected. But right now, he did not feel strong. He felt like a man standing in the middle of a storm he could not see. He whispered to his reflection, "Does anyone truly care for me?" His voice cracked. For the first time in his life, he did not know the answer. And that was when his fear turned into something else, something deeper, something stronger. A heavy question formed in his heart. If the people I love the most are pretending, then what is real? Don Roth placed a hand on his chest and took a long breath. He didn't know it yet, but this moment was the beginning of a story that would shake his entire world.
The next morning, the Okafor mansion was quiet, bright and peaceful. Soft sunlight touched the long hallways, and the smell of fresh flowers floated in the air. But inside Don Raff's heart, nothing felt peaceful. After what he heard yesterday, he could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered their voices. "The sooner everything is settled, we will have all the properties." Those words stayed in his mind like shadows. Don Raff dressed slowly and walked out of his room. His steps were soft. He felt like the whole world was watching him, even the walls. As he walked through the long corridor, he heard voices again, quiet but sharp. He stopped. The voices were coming from behind the big brown door near the stairs. He moved closer, step by step, careful not to make a sound. He placed his hand gently on the wall and leaned forward. It was his wife's voice. "My dear, we cannot waste time," she said softly. "We must decide what to sell first, the cars, the houses, or the companies." Don Raff's eyes widened. His heart beat hard. Then his son's voice, calm and happy. "I think we should sell the companies first. They are the biggest, and we can share the money quickly." His wife laughed softly. "Ha ha ha, that's my son. We must act fast." Don Raff shook his head slowly. He could not believe his ears. Then his elder brother, Uncle Peter, joined in with a firm voice. "Let's start with the mansion. It is huge, and many rich people will want it. Let us not delay." Don Raff closed his eyes. The mansion? The home he built with his own hands? He leaned closer, trying to understand if he was dreaming, but the voices got sharper. His daughter, Sonia, spoke next. Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper. "Mom, what if we make things happen faster?" she said. Don Raff stopped breathing for a moment. His wife asked, "What do you mean, my dear?" Sonia replied in a quiet, careful tone. "I mean his medication. If we change it a little, everything will happen very fast." The room went silent. Even Don Raff felt the silence in his bones. His son, Sammy, finally whispered, "Smart girl, your ideas are so brilliant. This will make things simple." Uncle Peter said, "Yes, I believe this will work faster." Don Raff pressed his hand against the wall to stop himself from falling. He felt something inside him twist, like a rope pulling too tight. His own family, planning what to sell and how to make everything happen faster. His eyes filled with tears, but he wiped them away quickly. He did not want to make a sound. He listened again. His wife said softly, "Good, let us plan everything. We must be ready." Don Raff slowly stepped back from the door. He walked backwards down the corridor, trying not to cry. He reached the end of the hallway and leaned against the wall. He placed a hand on his chest and took a slow breath. He felt something strong rise inside him. A decision. A quiet voice whispered inside. "If I do nothing, I may not have time left." He looked around the mansion with new eyes. Everything felt different now. The lights, the walls, even the flowers all seemed far away. He knew he had to act fast. That moment became the final push, the moment that changed everything in his heart. He wiped his tears, lifted his head, and whispered, "It is time." But then, a soft sound came from behind him. A shadow moved at the end of the corridor. Someone had seen him and heard everything.
That night, the Okafor mansion was quiet, so quiet that even the wind outside seemed afraid to move. Don Roth sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the clock on the wall. 1:52 a.m. His heart was beating fast. His hands were cold. His mind was full of heavy thoughts. He whispered to himself, 8 more minutes. He looked around his room slowly. The soft lamplight made everything look calm. But inside him, nothing felt calm. Not after what he heard earlier. Not after the voices planning what to sell and how to make things faster. Don Roth stood up, put on a dark jacket, and walked quietly out of his room. He did not switch on any lights. He moved like a shadow through the long corridor, careful not to wake anyone. He reached the back door of the mansion and stepped outside. The night air touched his face. It felt cold and sharp, but it helped him breathe better. He walked down the small path behind the garden until he reached the tall black gate. 2 cars were waiting there. One belonged to his private doctor. The other belonged to his lawyer. The car lights flashed softly when they saw him. Don Roth walked toward them with slow steps, feeling the weight of the moment. The lawyer stepped out first. He was a calm man with gentle eyes, but tonight his face looked serious. "Sir, are you sure of this?" he asked quietly. The doctor came out too, holding a small bag. "Don Roth, once we start this, there is no going back." Don Roth looked at both of them. His voice was low but steady. He said, "I heard my family today. I heard their plans. I must know who truly cares for me." The lawyer sighed deeply. "Then follow us. We should talk inside the car." They all entered the lawyer's car. The doors closed softly. The inside of the car felt warm, but Don Roth's heart felt heavy. The lawyer placed a thick file on the seat between them. He opened it slowly. Inside were papers, maps, lists, and a long handwritten plan. "We worked all day on this," the lawyer said. "This is the full plan for the event." Don Roth looked down at the papers. A fake hospital report, a fake timetable, a quiet ambulance route, a special coffin with air pipes, even the position where he must lie. Everything was written with great care. The doctor spoke softly. "Sir, we will not hurt you, but you must stay still for many hours. You must breathe slowly. You must keep your eyes closed, and you must not panic." Don Roth slowly nodded. The lawyer leaned closer and whispered, "Sir, I must warn you, if anyone finds out about this plan, even by mistake, your safety may not be sure." Don Roth felt a tiny shiver run through his body. The lawyer continued, "You are testing people who are already planning to take everything. If they learn this is fake, they may try to make it real." The words were soft, but heavy.
The doctor placed a gentle hand on Don Roth's shoulder. "Sir, we wish you good luck." Don Roth looked at the long file again. So much planning, so much risk. A strange feeling filled his heart. He suddenly wondered if he was doing the right thing, or if he was walking into something bigger than he expected. His voice shook a little as he asked, "Doctor, will I come out of that coffin alive?" The doctor looked at him for a long moment. He opened his mouth to answer, but before he could speak, a loud noise came from outside the car, a sharp sound, like someone stepping on broken glass. The lawyer's eyes widened. The doctor turned quickly. Don Roth froze.
The moonlight poured through the tall windows, painting soft silver lines on the shiny floors. Shadows danced gently along the walls, but inside Don Roth, the shadows felt heavier than the darkness outside. He walked slowly from room to room, careful not to make a sound. Every door he passed reminded him of memories, family dinners, birthday parties, laughter that had once filled these halls. Now the laughter felt distant, like a song he could no longer hear. Don Roth paused at his son's room, Sammy. The door was slightly open. Through the faint light, he could see his son sleeping peacefully, unaware of the plans he had whispered just yesterday. Don Roth's chest tightened. A small ache ran through him. He walked slowly to his daughter's room, Sonia. She slept curled up under the soft blanket, her small hand holding a pink teddy bear. Don Roth bent low near her, looking down at her peaceful face. He whispered softly, "How did I raise them to be so careful only about themselves?" His eyes filled with a quiet sadness. He felt a deep, heavy question grow inside him. Did they ever love me for who I am, or just for what I own? Don Roth slowly walked to the hall where his wife's room was. He peeked inside. She slept, her phone still glowing softly on the bedside table. Even in sleep, she seemed to hold the power of the house, the wealth, and the plans. Don Roth swallowed hard. His heart felt both lonely and tired. He left the room and stepped into the grand balcony. The night air was cool against his face. He leaned gently on the railing and closed his eyes. For a moment, he allowed himself to remember simpler times, days before money, before fame, before the heavy crown of being Don Roth. A soft sigh escaped his lips. So many years, and still I cannot know who truly cares. He opened his eyes and looked past the mansion gates. That was when he saw a small light moving in the dark night. It was Nellie. Nellie was not a family. She was not rich. She was the young girl who sold food at the small stall near the road. But she was more than that. Years ago, when Don Roth's company was about to fall, Nellie was the only person who warned him. She ran to him in the rain and told him that some workers were planning to take his money and run away. At first, he didn't believe her. But when he checked, everything Nellie said was true. Her words saved his company. And from that day, she never asked him for anything. She only smiled, greeted him, and sold him food with a kind heart. Don Roth watched her quietly and said to himself,
All these years, she was the only one who truly cared, and I never thanked her. He took a step back, his hand brushing the cold railing. His mind spun with plans, with the fake funeral that would soon happen. The weight of it all pressed heavily on his chest. Don Roth turned slowly, looking back into the mansion. He saw the rooms of his family, the halls filled with their laughter and secrets. The thought hit him sharply. Tomorrow, everything would change. Everything. But could he really go through with it? Could he really lie to them all, even for this truth? He felt a mixture of fear and determination rise in him. He knew that the moment had come to act.
Don Raff woke early that morning. The sun shone softly through the tall mansion windows, but inside, everything felt heavy and quiet. Today was the day he would see the truth. The night before, he had called Grace, Sammy, Sonia, and Uncle Peter to the living room. His voice had been weak, trembling. I don't feel well," he said, clutching his chest. "The doctor says it could be very serious. I may not wake up tomorrow. If anything bad happened, I must be buried immediately. Don't take my body to the mortuary." His wife, Grace, gasped, her hand covering her mouth. "God forbid! No, darling, we can fix this. You must get treatment." Sammy looked nervous, but also excited. "I'm sorry, Dad. Maybe this is the end. We will miss you so much." Sonia's eyes widened, and Uncle Peter's smile was a little too quick. They all agreed he needed rest and a quiet night. None of them suspected the truth. Don Raff was alive, ready to watch everything. By the next morning, the news broke out. Don Raff, the billionaire, has passed away in his sleep. The mansion was alive with staff. Flowers were arranged carefully. Lights were checked. Every detail had to be perfect for the funeral. Don Raff lay in the special coffin. His chest rose and fell slowly. Every breath was measured. Every heartbeat was heavy. Outside, voices echoed. Everyone believed he was gone. But Don Raff could hear every sound. The first person to enter was his wife. She wore a beautiful dress that shimmered under the lights. She walked in slowly, with a small smile on her lips. But inside, she was not alone. Don Raff's heart sank inside the coffin as he watched carefully. His wife held someone else's hand, a man he did not know well, a stranger smiling proudly beside her. The whispers and gasps of the other guests mixed with soft music playing in the background, but Don Raff could hear his wife whisper to the man, "Finally, he is gone." The words were soft but sharp. Don Raff felt a cold twist in his chest. Then came his son and daughter. They entered together, their faces smiling, but their eyes sparkling with excitement. "So Daddy finally left us with everything," his daughter said, almost laughing. His son pulled out a phone and started recording the hall. "This is going live on social media. We must celebrate freedom at..." Don Raff's fingers clenched inside the coffin. Each laugh, each smile, each celebration was like a knife through his heart. The children began making rich kid plans, which companies to sell first, which houses to rent out, which cars to drive. Don Raff's chest felt tight. The people he had loved, the people he had trusted, they celebrated as if he had never existed. Then his elder brother, Uncle Peter, walked in, a drink in his hand. He laughed loudly, raising the glass to the sky.
Finally, the almighty man is gone. God is good. He called for music. DJs arrived. The hall filled with loud beats, shining lights, and the clatter of chairs and laughter. Don Raff could feel the vibration of the music through the coffin walls. His heart broke a little more with each thump. He listened to everyone talking, laughing, and celebrating. His name was barely spoken. Not once did anyone ask, "Where is he?" Not once did anyone wonder if he might still be alive. Don Raff's eyes burned behind the coffin. He wanted to cry, he wanted to shout, he wanted to crawl out and tell them, but he could not. Inside the coffin, he pressed a hand against his chest and tried to steady his breathing. He thought about every year he had worked, every moment he had given to his family, every smile he had shared, and now it all felt empty. Then something unusual happened. A soft voice among the noise caught his attention. A voice that did not belong to his family. A voice that trembled with pain, hope, and love. "Sir, you were always kind to me, the only one who cared." Don Raff froze. He tilted his head slightly, straining to hear. It was a girl. She knelt near the coffin, crying softly, holding something small in her hands. The noise of the DJs, the laughter, the clinking glasses, all faded in that moment. Only her voice remained. Don Raff pressed his hands gently against the coffin. Tears burned his eyes. His heart, for the first time that day, felt something pure. He whispered softly inside the coffin, almost to himself, "Who is this girl? Why is she crying for me when my own family celebrates?" A small smile formed, mixed with pain, and then a soft step approached the coffin.
An old woman entered. Her hair was white like snow, and it fell in waves around her shoulders. Her eyes were sharp, but her face carried a weight of sorrow and years. Her steps were slow but steady, and something about her made the chatter in the room fall silent. She moved past the crowd without hesitation. The family, shocked, tried to block her path. "Stop! Who are you?" his wife asked, her voice high. But the woman did not answer. She pushed gently past them, ignoring their protests. Everyone froze as she reached the coffin. She leaned over it and spat on the polished wood. The sound echoed softly through the hall. "Raphael," she said, her voice trembling but clear, "if your spirit can hear me, forgive me for what I did 20 years ago." The room went completely silent. The music stopped. The DJs froze. The children's smiles faded. Even his elder brother's laughter vanished into thin air. Don Raff's eyes widened inside the coffin. His heart raced. That voice, that tone, he knew it. He tried to sit up slightly, careful not to make a sound, careful not to disturb the coffin. The old woman looked around the hall slowly. Her hand shook as she said in a soft voice, "You don't know me, but a promise was broken a long time ago." Don Raff's eyes widened. He remembered something. This woman, she was Nellie's grandmother. A cold feeling ran through him. Why was she here? What did she want? The family whispered among themselves. "Who was she talking about?" Sammy murmured. "Is she calling a spirit?" Sonia asked. Grace stepped back, her face pale, but Don Raff could not look away. The old woman's eyes were locked on the coffin. Her lips trembled as she whispered his name. "Raphael, forgive me!" Inside the coffin, Don Raff's fingers curled tight. He wanted to sit up. He wanted to speak, but he stayed still. The old woman took a slow breath. "I have waited 20 years, she said. "Now the truth must come out. Tomorrow, everyone will know." The funeral hall had quieted again.
after the old woman left. The music stopped, the laughter faded, and the family whispered nervously among themselves. Don Roth lay in the coffin. Every heartbeat echoed like a soft drum in his chest. Then the doors at the far end of the hall opened. A small figure appeared in the dim light. Don Roth turned his head slightly, careful not to make a sound. It was Nellie again. Her steps were slow and careful. Her slippers were worn and torn. A simple nylon bag hung from her shoulder, swaying as she walked. She had vowed to bring food to Don Roth every day, and even now she had carried it with her, as if she could not let him go, even in this moment. Don Roth's heart skipped a beat. He wanted to move, to call out, but he stayed perfectly still. Nellie's eyes widened as she saw the coffin. Her lips trembled. Her hands shook as she knelt beside it. God, why? He doesn't deserve to die. He was a good man, she whispered, her voice breaking. She cried like someone who had lost everything. She pressed her small hands against the coffin, shaking, her body quivering violently. Don Roth's eyes widened behind the coffin. His chest tightened. The sound of her crying, the pure, raw sorrow, almost broke him, but he stayed still. The security guards outside noticed the commotion. One of them stepped forward, frowning. "Miss, you cannot be here. You must leave," the guard said, reaching for her shoulder. Nellie did not move. She clutched the coffin tightly, sobbing. "No, please, don't take him away." The guard tried to drag Nellie toward the door, but she resisted with everything she had. She screamed, her voice loud, pure, and desperate. Don Roth's chest shook with a mix of fear and rage. Every word she cried pierced him like a dagger. How could they not see her pain? How could they not understand? He pressed his hands on the coffin lid again. His heart raced. His fingers trembled. He felt the urge to break free, to burst out, to stop the world from touching her. The sounds of the hall, laughter, whispers, music, faded into nothing. Only her sobs remained. Don Roth leaned slightly, listening to every word, every whimper, every desperate plea. His mind raced. She is the only one who truly loved me, the only one who cared, the only one who understood. Suddenly, the guard's grip tightened. Nellie's bag fell to the floor with a soft thud. Don Roth's fingers dug into the coffin walls. A flash of determination rose in his eyes. I cannot let them take her away. I cannot let her see me gone like this. Not now, not ever. The guard pulled harder. Nellie's cries grew louder. And then a loud creak echoed from above. The coffin lid shifted slightly. Don Roth's heart froze. Had he moved it? Or had someone else touched it? The funeral hall was quiet now. Most of the guests had left, leaving only the lingering scent of flowers, soft candle smoke, and polished wood. Don Roth lay in the coffin, silent, breathing slowly through the oxygen mask. His chest rose and fell like the tide. The family, thinking he was gone, gathered in a small corner of the hall. They whispered softly at first, then louder, confident that no one could hear them. Don Roth's ears pricked. Every word, every plan, he could hear it all.
He stayed perfectly still, careful not to move the coffin. His heart beat fast, each thump heavy with anger and sadness. His wife spoke first, her voice soft but greedy. "The mansion, I want it sold immediately," she commanded. "No delays. I need the money for my vacation. Let's not waste a single day." Then his son spoke. His voice was cocky, full of false confidence. "And the lawyer? If he doesn't follow the will exactly, I'll threaten him. He won't dare to go against me. I'll make sure this fortune is mine first." Don Raph's fingers trembled. He had feared this, and now he knew. His daughter spoke next, her voice light, almost playful, but cold in its words. "What about Nellie's little food stall? How soon can we have it moved? It's in front of the office. She can't block our path. I want it gone as soon as possible." Don Raph froze inside the coffin. He thought about Nellie, the girl who had cried for him, who had cared for him when no one else did. They don't care. They never did. It was all for money, for power, for themselves, he thought bitterly. The lawyer standing nearby looked nervous. The family did not notice him, but Don Raph did. He could hear every pause, every hesitation in the lawyer's voice. And then a soft, almost playful laugh came from his brother, Uncle Peter, who had been sitting quietly. "We must celebrate," he said, sipping his drink. "No more rules. Everything we want now belongs to us." The hall felt too bright, too noisy, too alive with greed. Don Raph closed his eyes for a second, letting his mind focus. "They have shown me who they really are, but I must stop them." A soft step outside the hall made him pause. He opened his ears wide. It was faint, almost silent. Someone was approaching. Don Raph's heart skipped. He could not see yet, but he could feel the air shift. Was it the lawyer coming to warn him? Or someone else, someone who might change everything? The footsteps grew closer. Each one made the floorboards creak just a little. Don Raph pressed his hands against the coffin lid. His chest rose faster now, his mind racing. And then a soft whisper floated through the hall. "Sir, you must wake now. They must know the truth."
It's already getting late, and people have left the hall, leaving the coffin behind. Slowly, Don Raph took a deep breath, his hands pressed against the coffin lid. The wood was cold, smooth under his palms. He pushed gently, then harder. The lid creaked softly, and he lifted it just enough to slide his body out. The fresh air touched his skin. His chest rose with relief and fear. He was alive, truly alive. And yet, the mansion felt different now. Empty, silent, suspicious. He stood slowly, feeling the weight of the moment. Every heartbeat felt loud in his chest. Every breath seemed to echo in the hall. He moved cautiously, one step at a time. The moonlight fell on his face, showing the exhaustion, the sadness, but also a quiet determination. He was no longer just a man. He was a man ready to see the truth. He paused in the hallway, listening. The mansion was quiet, but not empty. A faint creak, a whisper of movement made him freeze. From the shadows, a figure emerged. It was Uncle Peter, his elder brother. Don Raph's eyes widened behind the soft glow of moonlight. The brother's mouth hung open. His eyes were wide with fear and disbelief. "Raphael?"
his brother stammered, stepping back. Don Raff's heart sank for a moment. The brother believed he had seen a ghost, but Don Raff knew better. "Yes, you saw me. I'm alive," Don Raff said softly, his voice low, controlled. His brother took another step back. You can't be. You're dead." Don Raff pressed a hand against his chest. Calmly, but with quiet fire, he said, "No, I am very much alive, but you will try to expose me." The brother's face twisted in confusion and fear. He looked around the empty hallway, unsure if anyone else was watching. No one will believe me. You are a ghost." Don Raff's jaw tightened. A slow, heavy breath escaped him. He realized something chilling. The plan, the funeral, the lies were only the beginning. The real danger had not ended. It had only begun. His brother might run. His family might panic. But some of them would try to stop him. Some of them would try to take revenge. Don Raff's eyes burned in the moonlight. He took a step closer, watching his brother tremble. "I am alive, and very soon everyone will see what love truly means and what greed really costs."
The mansion was quiet now. Only the soft hum of the night outside and the faint creak of floorboards breaking the silence. Don Raff had moved carefully, avoiding every sound, until he reached the small gate where Nellie's worn slippers had left faint marks on the floor. Nellie sat on a low stool, clutching her nylon bag of food, eyes red and swollen from crying. She had not left since the funeral had begun. She whispered softly to herself, "Sir, I hope you can hear me. I hope you are okay." Don Raff's chest ached. Every word, every tear, every tremble in her voice struck him deeply. He stepped forward carefully, letting his shadow fall over her. "Cry no more, Nellie," he said softly, his voice trembling with hope and fear. Her eyes shot open. She gasped, nearly falling to her knees. "Sir, is this really you?" she asked. "Yes, it's me," Don Raff said, kneeling in front of her. "It's really me, alive, and there's something you must know." "Yes, I know the truth," she interrupted. "Grandma told me everything. You abandoned me and my mother. You left us alone." The words spilled out like a river, her anger, her pain, her sorrow all rushing at him. She stood abruptly and slapped him across the face. Don Raff flinched, but he did not step back. He understood her anger. He had expected it. I am so sorry, my dear," Don Raff apologized, his eyes glistening. "I failed you. I failed your mother. I did not know. I did not understand until it was too late." Nellie turned away, covering her eyes with her hands, sobbing violently. "You don't understand. You left me, all these years to suffer alone. I carried everything, every hurt, every fear, all by myself." Don's chest ached with every word. He reached slowly toward her, careful, trembling, wanting to hold her. "Nellie, I want to make it right. I am here now, and I will never leave again." Nellie shook her head violently. "No, it's too late." Her tears fell freely. The sobs shook her whole body. Don's hand lightly touched her shoulder. "Nellie, please." And then slowly, she collapsed into his arms. Her body shook with relief, pain and the weight of holding this grief alone for so many years. Don held her tightly, gently, as if he could take all the pain into his own chest. Her face rested against his chest. He could feel every tear, every heartbeat, every tremor of sorrow. "You are really my father," she said brokenly. "I don't know how to forgive you." Don's own tears fell. "You don't have to forgive me yet. Just know, I am here. I will not leave you again, ever." The night outside felt still. Only the sound of their breaths, their quiet sobs, and the soft shuffle of the nylon bag on the floor filled the air. Don Rath held her longer, letting her release the years of pain she had carried alone. But then, a faint sound from the hallway caught his attention. Someone was moving, quiet, deliberate, careful. He tightened his grip on Nellie, whispering softly, "Stay here, don't move."
The morning sun poured through the tall windows of the mansion, painting the marble floors in soft gold light. Outside, birds sang, unaware of the storm about to enter the house. Inside, the halls were quiet, but the silence did not last long. Don Raff stood at the top of the grand staircase. His chest rose steadily, his face calm but determined. Behind him, Nellie stood silently, clutching his hand. Her eyes were still red from last night, but they shone with a new sense of hope and wonder. A few minutes later, fast footsteps filled the mansion. The family rushed in, their faces pale, their eyes wide. Grace stopped first. Her mouth opened, her breath caught. "Blood of Jesus, darling, you are still alive? I thought you are—" Don Raff raised a finger slightly. "Please, quiet. I am alive. Every word you spoke at my funeral, every plan you made, I heard it all." The family froze. The air in the room thickened. Hearts pounded in chests. The soft hum of the morning suddenly felt heavy with tension. His son stammered, But we didn't mean to." Don Raff's eyes met his, calm, unwavering, yet sharp. "You did not care about me or love me. You only thought of yourselves. Every smile, every hug, it was for money and power." His daughter's face went pale. She clutched her bag, trying to steady herself. This can't be real." His brother's hands trembled slightly. The confident, arrogant smile he had worn for years was gone. He looked around, hoping someone would save him, but the room felt empty. Only Don Raff, Nellie, and the morning light filled the space. Don Raff turned slowly, letting his gaze sweep over each family member. His voice softened, but every word hit like a quiet thunder. "Today, everything changes. What you thought was yours, what you planned to take from me, will go to the one who truly loves me, the one who cared, who cried, who was honest when no one else was." The family whispered nervously among themselves. Who could he mean? Nellie? That poor girl? Don Raff's eyes glimmered. Yes, Nellie. She is the only one who truly loved me. Gasps filled the room. His wife's mouth fell open. His son and daughter froze. His elder brother's knees went weak.
Don Raff's voice was calm, but filled with quiet authority as he began to speak again. Everything you said at my funeral, I heard it, he said slowly, letting each word sink deep into the room. The air was thick with tension. The family tried to speak, but no words came. Every plan they had made, every secret they thought was safe, had been revealed. Don continued, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. You showed your true selves, your greed, your selfish hearts, all while I lay in the coffin pretending to be gone. The family looked at each other, panic creeping in. His wife whispered, trembling, "Darling, please, we didn't mean it. It was just a prank." Don shook his head slowly. It doesn't matter what you meant. What matters is what you did. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle over the room like a dark cloud. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. The golden seal glimmered in the sunlight. "This is the new will," he said, his eyes sweeping over the family one by one. "After hearing everything, I have decided to change my plans. Everything, every house, every car, every company, every property now belongs to the one who truly cared for me." He opened the envelope slowly. His eyes met Nellie's, softening for a brief moment. "All of it belongs to my beloved daughter, Nellie." The room exploded. His wife screamed, a high, sharp sound that seemed to echo off the walls. "What? This is insane! This is impossible!" His son moved forward, trying to snatch the envelope from the lawyer. "You can't do this, Dad. I am your only son." But Don Raff raised a hand, firm and unyielding. "Stop. You will not take what does not belong to you." His daughter stumbled backward, her face pale. She collapsed onto a chair, unable to comprehend what had just happened. His elder brother stepped forward, fists clenched, his voice trembling with fury. "This is a joke, right? You can't do this to your own family. You can't just leave everything to a stranger." Don Raff's eyes were steady, calm, and filled with quiet fire. "Nellie is my biological daughter. She genuinely loved me. She is the one who deserves everything. No greed, no betrayal." Nellie's hand trembled. She looked around at the shocked family, her eyes wide, her lips shivering. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of disbelief and joy.
"I don't want revenge," Nellie finally broke the silence. "I want peace. For both of us." Don Raff stopped in his tracks. Her words struck him deeply, more than any plan, any will, any confrontation could have. He had imagined this moment countless times, but he had never imagined it with such grace, such compassion. He reached out and took her hand gently. "Nellie, you are everything I wished my real family could be. You are kind, strong, and pure. You have given me more love than I ever received in my whole life." Tears welled up in his eyes. He blinked hard, trying to hold them back, but they fell anyway. He hugged her tightly, holding her close as if he could pour all his years of sorrow into that embrace. "Blood didn't bring you to me," he whispered, his voice trembling. "Love did." Nellie rested her head against his father's chest, breathing in the calm and warmth he offered. She could feel the strength of his heart, the weight of his years, the deep relief of finally being recognized and loved.
The sun outside grew brighter, reflecting off the polished driveway. Birds chirped, and the wind carried a soft, sweet fragrance from the garden. Everything around them felt lighter, as if the world itself had paused to watch this moment. Yet, even in this peace, Don Raff knew the future was still uncertain. His family, full of greed and fear, would not give up easily. There were questions to answer, challenges to face, and trust to rebuild. Nellie lifted her head and looked into his eyes. "Daddy, what happens now? Are they going to fight us?" Don Raff squeezed her hand gently, a small smile forming despite the heaviness in his chest. "Let them scream. Let them fight. The truth is on our side, and so is love. We walk forward together, and that is all that matters." They stepped slowly through the grand doors, out into the morning sun. The mansion behind them seemed smaller somehow, less important. What mattered was the bond they shared, forged in pain, honesty, and courage.